Good day, welcome again to ITEP 203, Quantitative Methods with Modeling and Simulation. For this pre-recorded discussion, we will have lesson number 3, which is entitled Probability and Linear Programming, Part 1. So for session overview on day 1, you had your asynchronous module self-study and engagement activity number 3. For today, you will have your synchronous class for module 3 part 1, and for day 3 you will have to do your task performance number 3. So what are the objectives of this lesson? By the end of this lesson, the student will understand the following: apply probability in simple and complex things such as data treatment, can differentiate and or in conditional probability, learn the concept of linear programming, learn when to use linear programming, learn how to analyze and solve linear programming problems and apply graphical solution to the problem. For this lesson, you will have your first 2 objectives. So what are the content of this lesson? First, we will define what probability is and the formula for probability. You will get yourself familiar with the probability line, with some terminologies, the type of events, mutually exclusive events, and sample problem and solution. So what is probability? Probability is the measure of how likely something is to happen. Many events cannot be predicted with total certainty, and the best way we can say is how likely they are to happen using this idea, the idea of probability. We have here examples. The first example is tossing a coin, and the second example is throwing a dice. So in tossing a coin, when a coin is tossed, there are 2 possible outcomes: the heads or tails. As you can see here in this picture, when you toss a coin, you can either have heads faced up or tails faced up. So we can say that the probability of the coin landing heads is 1/2 or 0.5. And the probability of the coin landing tails is 1/2 also, or 0.5, because you only have 2 options. So the second example would be throwing dice. When a single die is thrown, there are 6 possible outcomes: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, as you can see in our image here, and the probability of any of them is 1/6. So the probability of any one of them is 1/6. So the formula for probability is this: the probability of an event happening is equivalent to the number of ways it can happen over the total number of outcomes. Example number 1, we have here a sample event, which is the chances of rolling a 4 with a die. So the number of ways it can happen is 1, because there is only one face with a 4 on it in a die, as you can see here. So if you have a die, the chance of getting a 4 is 1 chance, and yet the total number of outcomes is 6, because there are 6 faces altogether: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You only have 1 4, but 6 faces altogether, so the probability of rolling a 4 with a die is 1/6. I have here another example. There are 5 marbles in a bag. 4 are blue and 1 is red. What is the probability that a blue marble gets picked? So the number of ways that it can happen is 4, because there are 4 blues. Remember that we are getting the probability that a blue marble gets picked. Since we have 4 blue marbles and 1 red, the number of ways that it can happen is 4. While the total number of outcomes is what? 5, because there are 5 marbles in total. We have 4 blue and 1 red. So the probability of getting blue marble is 4/5, or 0.8. I hope that by now you get yourself familiar with what probability is. So, as you can see, we talked about fractions that is not greater than 1. We have here probability line. We can show probability on a probability line. So if our value is 0, that is equivalent to an event being impossible to happen. While if you have a total of 1, then there's a certainty that an event will happen. So if you have here a die, getting a particular number face up is 1 in 6 chance. So you have to divide this line into 6, and an event happening for one particular number to face up is 1 over 6. So it will be placed here. If you have an even chance, which is tossing a coin, then you have two things that's likely to happen. So you have an even chance if you would toss a die. If you would toss a coin. Now, if an event is 4 in 5 chance, then you are here. We have already discussed about the marbles. So the probability is always 0 to 1. It's always between. So probability is just a guide. It does not tell us exactly what will happen. Example, if you toss a coin 100 times, how many heads will come up? Probability says that heads have a 1/2 chance, so we can expect 50 heads. But when we try it, we might get 48 heads or 55 heads or anything really, but in most cases, it will be a number near 50. So probability is just a guide. So let me walk you through terminologies that you need yourself to get familiar with in terms of probabilities. So the first terminology is the word experiment. Experiment is a repeatable procedure with a set of possible results. Again, an experiment is a repeatable procedure with a set of possible results. So it is a procedure which you can repeat several times, and the result would be several possible results. An example is throwing dice. This is a sample experiment, throwing dice. As you can see, we can throw the dice again and again, so it is repeatable. The set of possible results from any single throw is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if that is a repeatable procedure that has a set of possible results, then that thing or that activity is an experiment. Now, the second term is outcome. Outcome is a possible result of an experiment. An example would be, if this is our experiment, then a sample outcome would be getting a 6. Now, let's proceed to the third terminology. The third terminology is what we call sample space. Sample space are all the possible outcomes of an experiment. An example would be if you have a card, if you want to choose a card from a deck, then there are 52 cards in a deck, not including jokers. So, the sample space is all the possible 52 faces of the cards. It could be Ace of Hearts, 2 of Hearts, 3 of Hearts, 4 of Hearts, 5 of Hearts until 10 of Hearts, and then Jack of Hearts, Queen of Hearts, and then lastly, King of Hearts. And then you're going to repeat the same thing with aces. Ace of Ace, 2 of Aces, 3 of Aces, or 3 of Clubs, and so on. So, as you can see, when you say sample space, if your experiment is choosing a card from a deck, then the 52 cards in a deck, all of the faces on that 52 cards will be listed. So you have to list all the possible results That's what you call sample space. This is just an example of basic experiment. There are still a few or more that are quite more complicated than this example. Now, a sample point. This is the next terminology. A sample point is just one of the possible outcomes. The sample space is made up of sample points. Okay. So, ang sample point ay isa sa mga posibleng result or posibleng outcome. If you have, again, deck of cards, the 5 of clubs is a sample point. The king of hearts is also a sample point. King is not a sample point because there are 4 kings, so that it's 4 different sample points. So if you will write king, then you have to write the specific card for that. An example would be king of hearts, king of clubs, and so on. So we have here another example. Another example for sample point is when you throw a dice. There are 6 different sample points in the sample space. So you have 1, you have 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now let's proceed to the next terminology. The next terminology would be event. Event is one or more outcomes of an experiment. An event can just be one outcome. A sample event would be getting a tail when tossing a coin. You want to get a particular result. So getting a tail when tossing a coin. Another example would be rolling a 5. An event could also be having 2 or more results. So an example would be choosing a king from a deck of cards. Why? Because you have 4 kings. Another event would be rolling an even number, 2, 4, or 6. So an event is a particular character in an experiment. It could have 1 result, or it could have more than 1 result. Event is described as one or more outcomes of an experiment. We have here an example. Alex wants to see how many times a double comes up when throwing 2 dice. So when you say double, ibig sabihin nito ay parehong number yung lumabas noong tinapon mo yung dice. So you have 2 dice, and when you throw a die, it appears to have a number. An example would be 3. And when you throw another die, when you say you have a double, then you will get another 3. So that's what this example is all about. So the sample space there is 36 sets. You have 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. So lahat ng pares ng number ng 1 to 6 sa first die at 1 to 6 again to another die, you have to write it down. Okay, so 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, and then 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6, and then 3, 1, 3, 2. And I hope that by now you can get what I'm trying to say. So kapag nilista mo yun lahat, meron kang 36 pairs of number. Ang tawag doon is sample space. So you have to write all of those pairs down. An event would be what Alex is looking for is a double, where both dice have the same number. So yun yung particular event na hinahanap mo. So ang sample points mo, ibig sabihin yung hinahanap mo from the event ay 6. Bakit? Kasi meron tayong 6 na doubles. Meron tayong 1, 1, meron tayong 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and 6, 6. So the probability is 6 doubles over 36 pairs. So 6 over 36 is also the same as 1/6. Or compute that in its equivalent decimal point. So the probability is 6 over 36 because you have 6 sample points over 36 sample space. And if you would round that off, you will get 1 over 6. Okay, so kapag halimbawa si Alex ay nag-experiment, after 100 experiments, si Alex ay nagkaroon ng 19 double events. So, 19 over 100 is almost close to 1 over 6. So that's what we're trying to say here. So you're looking at the probability of an actual thing happening. So now let's proceed to the different types of events. What is an event? Again, going back to the definition, an event is one or more outcomes of an experiment. An event can just be one outcome or can include more than one outcome. There are 3 types of events in this lesson. The first one is independent, the second one is dependent, and the third one is mutually exclusive. When you say independent, lahat ng event or each event is not affected by other events. When you say naman dependent, ang iba pang tawag dito ay conditional, na kung saan ang isang event ay affected by other events. Ang mutually exclusive naman is that when events can't happen at the same time, then that is a mutually exclusive event. So let's discuss what these 3 events mean. For independent events, events can be independent. Ibig sabihin nun, each event is not affected by any other events. Isang halimbawa ay kapag nag-toss ka ng coin, and then it came up heads. So each toss of a coin is a perfect isolated thing. So say for example, you would toss 10 times. Your first toss, that is, halimbawa lamang, lumabas na heads, yung face up. Yung second toss mo, hindi porkat heads yung una mong toss, ay maapektuhan na at magiging tails na ito. So, yung event na yon ay tinatawag na independent events. Now, let's proceed to the second type of event, which is dependent events. Some events can be dependent. Ito yung kabaligtaran nung nauna, independent event. Ibig sabihin nun, may mga event na pwedeng maapektuhan ng previous events. Halimbawa, drawing 2 cards from a deck. So, isa lang deck yung pagkukuhanan mo ng cards. So, kapag halimbawa, kumuha ka ng isang card sa isang deck, then, there are less cards na available. So, yung probability of getting that particular card on your second try changes. So, ang tawag doon ay dependent event. So, meron tayo ditong example. Soccer game. So, kung ikaw ay player ng soccer at gusto mo, halimbawa, ikaw yung gusto mo maging goalkeeper. Pero, kung gusto mo maging goalkeeper, depende siya sa coach for the day. So, kung kay Coach Sam ka, yung probability mo na maging goalkeeper is 0.5. While kung kay Coach Alex ka naman, yung probability mo of being goalkeeper is 0.3. So, si Sam, he is coached more often, about 6 of every 10 games. So, there's a probability of 0.6 for Coach Sam that you would be picked. So, you have to start with the coaches. So, you have here Coach Sam and Coach Alex. So, 6 times siya out of 10, pwede maging coach. Or yun yung possibility na siya yung coach. So, you have here, the possibility is 0.6. So, ibig sabihin, ang natitira na lang na posible ay si Alex ay 0.4. So, for Sam, ang possibility mo na maging goalkeeper is 0.5. So, you have here 0.5. 0.5, ibig sabihin, possibility din na hindi ka mapili. So, mas equal lang yung possibility kay Coach Sam, yung ikaw yung goalkeeper at hindi ka goalkeeper. Samantalang kay Coach Alex naman, the possibility or the probability of you being goalkeeper is 0.3. So, you have to put here 0.3 for the yes and 0.7 for the no. So, you have here filled up the branches. So, the possibility changes as an event occurs. So, ito yung tinatawag na dependent events. Halimbawa, si Sam yung makapili sa'yo, ang probability mo of getting a yes ay 0.5. No is 0.5, while for Alex is 0.3 and 0.7. So, nag-iiba-iba sila. Okay, so now let's proceed to mutually exclusive events. Kapag sinabing mutually exclusive, ibig sabihin nun, hindi pwede to get both events at the same time. It is either one or the other, but not both. We have here examples. Turning left or right are mutually exclusive because you cannot do both. Hindi mo pwedeng hatiin yung katawan mo, di ba? So it's either you will turn left or you will turn right. Yung heads tsaka yung tails. Ito ay mutually exclusive because you can either have heads or tails but not both. Sa deck of cards, yung pagkuha mo ng kings at aces ay mutually exclusive kasi you cannot have both. You can either have kings or aces but not both. So ano ba yung hindi mutually exclusive? Kings and hearts, hindi ito mutually exclusive. Bakit? Kasi pwede kang magkaroon ng kings at hearts sa pamamagitan ng pagkuha ng king of hearts. So, here is an example. Aces and kings are two different things. Hearts and kings can be both. So, ito ay mutually exclusive, itong event na ito. Ito namang isa ay hindi mutually exclusive. So, pag-usapan naman natin ngayon yung properties of set theoretic operations. Meron tayong tinatawag na commutativity, meron tayong associativity, and distributivity. So, sa commutativity, you can combine or you can relocate the values. So, yung E union F is also the same as F union E. While yung E intersect F is also equivalent to F intersect E. So, yung associativity naman, kapag pareho yung symbol in between, then you can rearrange your parentheses. You can process alternatively. Okay? Sa distributivity naman, kung magkaiba yung ating operation, pwede mo siyang i-distribute. In this example, kinuha niya yung F and G, and then or F and G. So, that's what you mean by distributivity. So, for us to better understand this theoretic operations or these properties, we have here an example. When you say commutativity, you can do that on addition and multiplication. So, you can add in any order. You can multiply also in any order. Well, for associativity, so if you have A, B, and C, and these are three sets, then A union B union C is also the same as A union B union C. If you have here two the same symbols, then you can process this alternatively. A intersect B intersect C is also the same as this one. So, for example, you want to get A union B union C. So, this is your set A, this is your set B, and this is your set C. All you have to do is to unite them or combine them and then eliminate the same values. So, A union B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why? Because you have combined these two. For the same numbers, you have combined this or put this as 1. And then, combining it with 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, then you will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. If you would process it this way, an example would be yun munang B union C. So, ito muna yung gagawin mo. Tapos, tsaka mo siya i-unite kay A. Then, you will get the same results. That's the theory or property of associativity. While for distributivity naman, if A, B, and C are any three sets, then, so you have here the set A, you have the set B, and you have the set C. So kung meron ka ditong A union B intersect C, pwede mo siyang i-distribute. So, pwede mong kuhanin muna yung union ng A tsaka ng B, tapos union ng A tsaka ng C, tapos kunin mo yung kanilang intersection. So, here is an example. A union B intersect C. So, yung ating B intersect C, so you have here 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. So, now you have the intersecting values are 3 and 4 kasi yun yung merong magkapareho. Yun yung ginagawa kapag ginagamit mo yung operation na intersection. Ang kinukuha mo lang ay yung intersecting values nila, which is 3 and 4. So, yun namang A union dito sa nakuha mong values dito, hindi mo siya pwedeng pagbaligtarin na. Kailangan, ganun mo talaga siya ipaprocess. Kukunin mo muna yung A union B, then A union C, tapos kukunin mo yung intersection. So, let's go back here. So, we have here 3 and 4. Tapos, yung A is 1, 2, 3. So, A union, yung lumabas dito na result, which is 3 and 4, is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Ngayon, try natin na gawin naman itong same operation using the distributive property or property nga. So, try natin ito naman yung gawin nito, itong sign na to. A union B is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, pinagsama mo sila. Tapos, yung intersection naman, ay mamaya mo pa gagawin pag ginawa mo na itong A union C. So, yung A union C, itong dalawa, is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, ngayon, ang intersection nila ay, 1, 2, 3, and 4, kasi yun yung meron silang parehong values. Tanggal yung 5. So, pareho sila ng sagot when you use the distributive property. So, very helpful to pagdating sa mga events na kinakailangan mong applyan ng associativity, commutativity, and distributivity. Now, let's proceed to the fourth part of this lesson, the mutually exclusive events. So, the mutually exclusive events and. Ayan. And then, the mutually exclusive events or. When two events, call them A and B, are mutually exclusive, it is impossible for them to happen together. So, yung P, A and B, kapag sila ay mutually exclusive, yung event A at yung event B, ang possibility for that to happen or the probability for that happening is 0. The probability of A and B together equals 0 or impossible. Here's an example. Let's replace event A with king, event B with queen. So, yung probability na ang isang card ay parehong king tsaka queen ay imposible kasi wala ka namang card na king and queen. So, the probability of those mutually exclusive events is 0. So, kapag halimbawa, meron kang dalawang events, tapos ay linagyan mo siya ng operation na and, tapos yung dalawang events na yun ay mutually exclusive, ang probability na ito ay mangyayari ay 0. Hindi pwede. Ito naman yung halimbawa ng remember that when you say mutually exclusive events that cannot happen at the same time because you can get probability of two events happening. You can get the probability of one event happening. Now, if two events cannot happen at the same time, ang tawag doon is mutually exclusive events. Kapag ginamitan mo siya ng operation na or, ito ay possible. So, the probability of A or B is the sum of the individual probabilities. So, halimbawa, meron kang dalawang events. Probability of event A and probability of event B. So, kapag or yung nasa gitnang operation, ibig sabihin nun, kung ano yung lumabas na probability A, ay i-add mo lang sa value ng probability B. Okay, let's have an example. The probability of having king and queen sa card, pagkuha mo ng card sa isang deck ay 0 kasi wala namang card na king and queen. It's either king or queen. Now, let's proceed to the or. The probability of having king or queen is 1 over 13 plus 1 over 13 equal 2 over 13. So, ganito yan, guys. So, sa isang deck of cards, merong 52 cards. So, the probability of getting a king ay 4 kasi merong 4 na kings. So, that is 4 over 52 or 1 over 13. Kapag yan ay sinimplify mo, yan ay magiging 1 over 13. Ang probability ngayon ng pagkakaroon naman ng queen ay 4 over 52 din kasi merong 4 queens in 52 cards in a deck. So, ano-ano ba yon? 4 na hearts, 4 na clubs, ano pa ba yung isa? 4 na diamonds, and then 4 na aces. So, yung 4 na yon ay isusulat mo dito, 4 over 52 kasi meron kang 52 cards in a deck. So, that is 1 over 13 also kapag sinimplify mo siya. Ngayon, kapag meron kang probability na king or queen, so you have here the keyword or, as you can see here, ayan. All you have to do is to add them up. Yung 4 over 52 plus 4 over 52 is equal to, pag sinimplify mo yan, ay 1 over 13 plus 1 over 13. So, that is equivalent to 2 over 13. So, you have 2 over 13 possibility or probability. So, I hope that that is clear by now kung bakit nakuha yung 1 over 13 at yung 1 over 13. That's why we have 2 over 13 if this is what you're trying to get, the probability of having king or queen in a deck. Ngayon, pag-usapan naman natin yung special notation. So, instead of and, you will often see the symbol, ito, yan. Ang tawag dyan ay intersection, symbol used in Venn diagrams. So, instead of or naman, ang makikita mo dyan is yung U, which is the union symbol. So, kung and siya, ito yung kanyang symbol, para siyang letter A. Kapag or, para siyang, ayan, U, union. Okay? So, this is the symbol for and, this is the symbol for or, this is what you call intersection, and this is what you call the union. Kaya nga dito sa intersection, mas maunti yung value na nire-return kesa sa union. Kasi, mas madami yung nire-return ng or kesa sa and, kasi mas konti lang yung possibilities. Ayan, so let's proceed to another example. Scoring goals. If the probability of scoring no goals, event A, so yung event A ay scoring no goals, halimbawa lang to ay 20%. Tapos, yung scoring exactly 1 goal, sabihin na natin na yun yung event B, is 15%. So, ang probability na pag-score mo ng no goals and 1 goal ay 0 kasi isa lang dapat. So, the probability of getting A and B is 0. The probability of event A intersect B is 0. While the probability of scoring no goals or 1 goal is 20% plus 15% is equivalent to 35%. So, again, kapag meron ka dyang or union, all you have to do is to add 2 probabilities. So, we have 35%. Katulad lang din yan ng ating example kanina about king and queen. Ayan. Example naman ito ng hindi mutually exclusive events. Example ta ng hindi mutually exclusive events. We have here, dun sa example natin kanina, ay hearts and kings. Hearts and kings. Not heart or kings, but hearts and kings in a deck of card. So, ano daw yung probability na makakakuha ka ng king tsaka heart? So, isa lang naman yun in a deck of card, diba? 1 over 52. So, basically, ganun siya i-compute. Pero, tingnan natin, kapag ang susundin natin ay yung ating example for not mutually exclusive. So, the probability of getting a heart is 13 over 52 kasi merong 13 na hearts. Yung ace of hearts, 2 of hearts, hanggang 10 of hearts, tapos jack of hearts, queen of hearts, and then king of hearts. That's 13 over 52. While the probability of getting a king is 4 over 52 kasi meron tayong 4 na king. 4 of hearts, 4 of diamonds, 4 of clubs, and 4 of aces. So we have here 4 over 52. That's the probability of getting a king in a deck of cards. So the probability of scoring hearts and kings, all you have to do is to multiply the two probabilities. Yung kanina, in-add mo dun sa or. Sa end naman, kapag ito ay hindi mutually exclusive, ang gagawin mo ay ipag-multiply mo sila. So, 13 over 52 times 4 over 52 is 1 over 52. So, di ba yung natutunan natin sa ating elementary mathematics, so kapag ito kinakancel mo, 1 ito over 4, itong 52 magiging 4. Ito naman ay magiging 1 divided by 4 is equal to 13. So, you have here 1 over 52. So, ayan. Ayan yung probability of scoring hearts and kings. 1 over 52. So, if you're gonna write that, P, the probability of getting A intersect B is equal to probability of A multiplied by probability of B. So, kapag intersect yung symbol dito, all you have to do is to multiply. So, the probability of getting A is 13 over 52, while the probability of getting B or getting king is 4 over 52. So, that is 1 over 52. Obviously, meron lang tayong isang king of hearts. So, that's the only card that has hearts and kings, which is not mutually exclusive. Unlike kings and queens, ito ay hindi siya mutually exclusive. So, ngayon naman, another example ng hindi mutually exclusive. Hearts or kings. So, yung kanina ay and, ito naman ay or in a deck of cards. So, ano daw yung probability na makakakuha ka ng either heart or king? So, mas malaki yung probability, di ba? So, tingnan natin kung ano yung probability. So, yung probability mo of getting a heart is, again, 13 over 52 kasi merong 13 na hearts in a deck of cards na iba't iba yung values. Yung king naman ay 4, may 4 ka na king sa isang deck of cards. Ngayon, kapag or yung symbol mo, all you have to do is to add them up. Ayan, so ipag-add mo lang siya yung 13 over 52 plus 4 over 52. That is the probability of getting hearts or kings. Pero since may isa pa tayong problema kasi merong king and hearts, ang kinukuha lang natin ay hearts or kings. So, kailangan i-minus natin si 1 over 52, which is the probability of getting hearts and kings. So, I think you can still simplify that. But that's how you illustrate an example of not mutually exclusive, pero ang symbol niya is or. So I hope that by now, you know the difference between and or, intersection versus union. So for a summary, for mutually exclusive, A and B together is impossible. So the probability of getting A and B for mutually exclusive events is 0. While the probability of getting A or B is the sum of A and B, the probability of the sum of A and B, so ganito siya. So yung P and B, kapag mutually exclusive yan, 0. Kapag naman mutually exclusive yung event, tapos or yung nakalagay, ipag-add mo yung dalawang probabilities. Kapag not mutually exclusive, all you have to do is to add the first probability with the second probability and then i-minus mo yung A and B. Okay, kasi may kailangan kang tanggalin kasi ang hinahanap lang is yung A or B. So the symbols for and is intersection, while the symbol for or is union, the union symbol. Okay, now let's proceed to the last part of our lesson, the sample problem and solution in problem. Ang sample space mo dyan is, nag-throw ka ng coins, tapos 3 heads yung lumabas. Yung 3 coins, 3 head. Another probability is 2 head, ito yung pangalawa, tapos isang tail. Another probability or another possibility is, another outcome is head yung una, tail yung pangalawa, at yung pangatlo ay head. Ang isa pang outcome na possible ay tail yung una, head yung pangalawa, yung pangatlo ay head din. Ang isa pang posibilidad ay tail, tail, head. Ang isa pang possibility ay tail, head, tail. Ang isa pa ay head, tail, tail, and lastly, 3 tails. Yan yung sample space. Ibig sabihin, yan yung lahat ng posibleng outcome. Ilang outcomes meron? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What is our event? Probability that at least 1 head is obtained. So, meron the 1 head is obtained at least. So, meron tayo dyang 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, our favorable cases ay 7 kasi at least one head daw. So, the probability of A happening, which is at least one head is obtained, is 7/8, or P of getting at least one head is equivalent to 1 minus P, no head, is equal to 1/8 or 7/8. So this is quite more complicated. But if you're gonna test this, makikita mo dyan na 7 yung beses, over 8 yung possibility. So, mataas yung possibility. Here is another example. Find the probability of getting a numbered card when a card is drawn from the pack of 52 cards. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? Hindi included dyan yung Jack, Queen, and King. So, ano daw yung probability ng pagkuha ng numbered cards? So, we have 52 total cards in a deck. Ang numbered cards ay 2, kasi hindi kasama yung aces. So, meron tayong 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 9 from each suit. So, that is 4 times 9 is equivalent to 36. So, the probability of E happening, which is ito yon, getting a numbered card, ibig sabihin kapag meron kang deck of cards, tapos kumuha ka ng card doon, ano daw yung probability na ang hawak mo ay numbered card? So, ang probability dyan is 9/13 or 36/52. Kasi meron tayong 36 na numbered cards over 52 na hindi numbered. So, that's how, number 3. There are 5 green and 7 red balls. 2 balls are selected one by one without replacement. So, find the probability that first is green and second is red. So, ito naman yung isang example ng dependent events. So, the probability of getting green multiplied by the probability of getting red is equivalent to 5/12 kasi meron tayong 5 green over 12 total of balls. So, 5/12 multiplied by 7. So, dahil wala na tayo ng isa pang ball, so ito ay affected. So, this is a kind of dependent event. So, 7/11 na lang siya kasi 11 na lang yung ating balls kasi meron ka ng unang nakuha. So, yung probability na makakuha ka daw ng green yung una at yung second ay red ay ganito. So, ito yung first probability, tapos ito yung dependent event, which is 7/11. So, since that is and, yan, all you have to do is to multiply them because it's not or. So, yun yung pinag-aralan natin kanina. So, you will get 35/132. So, ito yung probability of getting this event. Another example, what is the probability of getting a sum of 7 when 2 dice are thrown? So, there are total number of ways ng sa dice. So, yung pairs mo ay 36 overall. So, yung 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, hanggang 6-6 ay 36 ways. Ngayon, meron ka ditong favorable cases, which is 1-6, 6-1, 2-5, 5-2, 3-4, and 4-3. Kasi, ito, kapag pinag-add mo sila, ay equivalent siya sa 7. So, may 6 ways. So, 6/36 or 1/6 yung probability na makakakuha ka ng sum of 7 when 2 dice are thrown. So, medyo mataas yung probability. Here is our last example. 1 card is drawn at random from pack of 52 cards. So, una, find the probability that it is an honor card. And then second, it is a face card. So, ang honor cards natin ay Ace, Jack, Queen, and King. So, 4 cards from each suits. So, that is equivalent to 4 times 4 is equivalent to 16 kasi may 4 kang symbols. So, the probability of getting honor card is 16/52 or 4/13, while the probability that you will get face card ay meron kang Jack, Queen, at King, yung face cards mo. Ito yung mga may muka. So, 3 cards from each suit. So, 3 times 4 kasi meron kang 4 na suits. Heart, aces, clubs, and diamond. So, 3 times 4 is equivalent to 12. Now, you have 52 cards in a deck. So, that's 12/52 or 3/13. So, that's it for our part 1 of module number 3. We talked about probability. So, for our activities, you had your engagement activity last time. So, you will have task performance 3 on your day 3. So, mag-aral ng mabuti. If you have any questions, you can ask me, you can message me. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So that's it for our Module 3, Part 1.